Late one autumn evening, as the wind howled down the narrow back streets of a forgotten industrial town, Officer Daniel Reyes was closing up for the night. The police station, a once proud building with imposing columns and a faded mural now chipped and peeling, had its share of whispered legends. This night, however, would cement those legends into chilling reality. A distressing call crackled over the radio. An anonymous tip about unsettling occurrences in an abandoned factory on the outskirts of town. The dispatcher's voice trembled ever so slightly as details emerged: shadows, moving in unnatural patterns, distant cries echoing through empty halls, and a silence that felt more suffocating than any scream. Despite his better judgment, Officer Reyes was the only patrol available and had to follow the lead. Equipped with only his flashlight and a resolve to uncover the truth, Reyes drove to the factory. The structure loomed like a decaying behemoth against the moonlit sky. Broken windows and graffiti hinted at decades of neglect and secrets long buried. As Reyes stepped out, every creak and distant rustle in the wind sent pulses of anxiety through him. The air around the factory was icy and charged, and every shadow seemed to writhe with life. Reyes's footsteps echoed along a long corridor, where thick dust and broken glass comprised a ghoulish mosaic on the floor. In a moment of misplaced bravery, he reminded himself that he was a seasoned officer and that the town's superstitions could not deter him. Deep within the labyrinthine halls, strange sounds began to emerge. Not the scurrying of rats, but low, muttered voices that resonated as if the walls themselves were speaking. Reyes's flashlight beam danced over cryptic messages etched into the concrete, ominous words hinting at past sins and promises of retribution. With each step, a growing conviction began to tell him that this was no ordinary break-in or vandalism. Something far more sinister was at play. A sudden slam echoed through the corridors, almost as if a door had been violently closed somewhere beyond sight. Reyes's heart pounded as he turned a corner and halted abruptly. There, in the middle of the corridor, lay a tattered uniform, the insignia unmistakably that of a fallen officer, long lost in the archives of the station's troubled past. The sight struck him with the realization that the tragedies of the past were not at rest. Before he could process his next move, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was neither entirely human nor something entirely supernatural. Its form shifted uncomfortably between the two. In a voice that was a hollow echo of regret and malice, it spoke of betrayal, corruption, and revenge. The presence accused Reyes of being part of a system that had long abandoned its ethical core, a system that had, over decades, darkened its soul. Paralyzed by fear and a deep-seated sense of foreboding, Reyes tried to negotiate with the apparition. But it was too late. The entity's form seemed to expand, filling the narrow corridor with suffocating darkness. As it advanced, every ounce of Reyes's training was dedicated to fighting this intangible horror, a horror born not just of spectral existence, but of the weight of secrets and the burden of an institution's history. In those agonizing moments, time appeared to fracture. Memories of past assignments, long-suppressed mistakes, and sleepless nights of regret blurred with the reality of the present. Was this supernatural being the manifestation of collective guilt, or merely a twisted hallucination born from isolation and the burden of duty? In his frantic struggle to save himself, Reyes's flashlight flickered, casting fleeting images that may have been relics of other victims. The line between reality and terror blurred, leaving him to question if he had ever truly been free of the ghosts of those he failed to protect. When the morning light finally crept over the horizon, the factory stood silent once more. No trace of Officer Reyes was ever found, except for his abandoned flashlight and the lingering echo of his last desperate scream. The police station, haunted by its legacy and the mysteries of that ill-fated night, continued to bear the weight of unwritten files, unexplained disappearances, and whispered recounts among the senior officers. And in a dim corner of the old records room, one file, marked with a red stamp, served as a grim reminder that some darkness is better left undisturbed.